For those watching on video, I don't know what
I was going to say, I don't know what that just was. I've never seen you do that before.
I was trying to disappear and pop back up. It might have looked like I was doing something else. And
It did.
You know what?
It reminded me of the scene from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Where, where he's like, hey, can you put your mouth a little bit closer to the mic? No, further away. No, a little bit closer. And he's like,
maybe I was channeling that. I don't know.
Were you wearing that pearl necklace about 5 seconds ago?
Yes, exactly. So, hey, not safe for work. And here we are. But yeah, I don't know what is wrong with me. Well, here's what's wrong with me. We were supposed to record last night and we had a BSH meeting that went way longer than we expected.
It was like a 2-hour meeting.
Our plan was to record after the meeting, and then it went longer, and it was all stuff we needed to talk about.
Yeah.
But it was just funny because we were just like, "Do you still want to record tonight? Because it's getting late."
It was like 10:30, and I dude, thank God I ate during the meeting because I was gonna wait. I thought the meeting was gonna be 30 minutes long, and then.
Olden days, Flyperbole would have been like, yeah, let's do it. And then Steve will stay up until 5 a.m. editing, and then he'll just want to die the next day. But modern Flyperbole, yeah, I'm too old for that shit.
We value our sleep habits, Steve.
Kinda. I still go to sleep way
more than we did.
You value your sleep habits. I don't value shit. It's bad, but more than I used to. More than I used to, for sure.
I'm at the point now where I'm going to bed at like 10:30 every night.
Oh, old man Quigley over here.
I'm feeling really good about that because I'm trying is the key word, to wake up at 5:45 every morning and then work out in the morning and then make breakfast.
Ugh.
I usually skip breakfast, but I want to up my protein intake. So I figure I should eat some eggs.
So many things here. So number one, skipping breakfast. I don't understand people who can skip breakfast because number one, I love breakfast. Number two, I am hungry first thing in the morning. I don't understand people that aren't hungry. But I'm always hungry. That's my secret, Cap. I'm always hungry. And I don't understand that mentality, but apparently it's a thing. Kelly's talked about it. I think Jason's mentioned it before. Man, if I could roll out of bed and have the Michael Scott Foreman grill bacon waiting for me, I would love it.
Oh yeah.
If I had a butler, okay, a Jarvis,
I was just
right
about
there
to
with
say
Alfred, right by my side, who could hand me a bacon, egg, and cheese as soon as I woke up, I'd be like a pig in shit.
Oh my God, I would if I had that. I say this all the time. If I ever won the lottery or something like that, first thing I'm doing, actual first thing I'm doing is getting a financial advisor. That's number one. Number two is
not a crooked one.
Not a crooked one. No. None of that.
There's a lot of crooked. You always hear about big time celebrities with crooked financial advisors, screwing them over and stealing their fortunes.
Yeah. Or if you're Jack Johnson in that situation, it's just your parents. So,
sure. Just don't involve your parents at all.
No, they get nothing. Good day, sir.
I'll throw my dad, a nice, whatever amount, but it's ending there. It's everybody in the family, it's you're getting a one-time payment, okay? And that's it. Don't come back to me anymore, all right? You're getting a one-time payment.
They did birth me, so I feel like I owe them a little something. You know what I mean?
I mean, it'd be a good one-time payment, but it would still be just but this is the amount, don't at me.
No, I get that. After the financial advisor, though, I'm getting a private chef who's just going to live in the house. They're going to live somewhere. They're going to have their own floor, so I don't have to deal with them. I just want them to make me food. So you know what? At that point, if you're living under my roof, you're going to be my bud. You know what I mean? So
your bud?
Yeah, my bud. So
I thought you said your butt.
I mean, they could. I mean, I don't know, man. Whatever they want. If they want to massage my butt, go ahead. But they would live.
This is one of the weirder intros.
This is a weird intro, yeah.
This is extra weird.
I would get
me doing illicit things on the camera to start. You getting butt massages.
Private chef.
What's going on?
Private chef.
At some point this episode, I'm gonna have to get up and let Quigley tap dance for 2 minutes while I get Chinese food.
Chinese food, yeah, because you ordered Chinese.
Yeah, I gotta get my lo mein.
Private chef, And every morning there's going to be precisely 4 scrambled eggs, some bacon, maybe a little bit of sausage, It's a lot of protein.
Bacon and
It's a good way to start
sausage.
your day.
Oh.
Yeah. I love double dipping on the breakfast, or really triple dipping on the breakfast protein, because I need the sausage, I need the bacon, and bacon doesn't have like that much protein. So
yeah, I mean it's a lot of grease, but
it's so
delicious.
It's
delicious
thin.
Grease.
Yeah, it's great, but it's thin.
It is. It's all very true. But yeah, see, your day you're talking about is such an antithesis of just how I live my life. Like today, I had off. I woke up at 10. This is the child-free life there. I woke up at 10. Well, first I woke up and let Bruce out at like 7:30 because dog's got a schedule. You gotta, go with that. Yeah. But then I woke up at 10. Came down, ate some cereal, and I think I had to do like. I'm off, but I had to do like a self-assessment that my lazy ass had been holding off on. So I had to go so I hammered that out with some coffee, and it's been very chill. And on the days I go into the office, it's very much like I roll out, I'll get a shower if I can, make coffee, walk Bruce real quick. And it's all like, I'm not going in when I'm getting in later than I should be. Yeah. And it's just like, it's a mess. I'm a messy morning person. I am just like, I'm honestly useless until the afternoon. Like the morning, I'm just like, I'm grumpy. And then I get lunch in me and I'm like, all right, let's go. I can work now. I can do this.
Dude, I'm total opposite. As soon as I have lunch, I hit a wall and I hit a lull. Like in the morning, like my most productive days are like for work are when I go into the office. Cause when I go to the office, I get there early. I'm normally the first person in the office and I get there at like 7 on the dot. And this is in Fort Washington. So I got to drive like 45 minutes or whatever to get there. And so I'll get there like right at 7 and I am just like in the zone for like 3-4 hours. And then around noon, I'm just like, all right, well, like most of my shit's done. So like, what do I do now? And then I'm just kind of like, waiting for lunch, and then lunch comes, I eat, and then it's over, As soon as I eat, it's like I hit like a food coma type thing. And it's not like I'm eating a lot, but like I swear to God.
You got to stop having a full barbecue lunch every day.
I know, man. I got to stop having a full rotisserie chicken every day for lunch.
Quigs is out here having a rotisserie chicken, spare ribs, a brisket sandwich. He's just living it up, living La Vida Loca here.
It's really great. You should try it.
I mean, like we've all got our things though that we would do once we're rich. We've all got our bucket list things. And I think most hockey players, because they have some cash, what they end up doing is just spending a lot of time in the lake. Yeah. And that even holds true for our Russian counterparts. We always think about the Canadians going to the lake, right? Because Canada's just a land of lakes right there. And you don't think about the Russians going to the lakes, but you know what? They hit the lakes, and we know because of Matvei Michkov's Instagram earlier this week when good old Mishi boy Mike over there was back in the mother country, back in the motherland, and he put on his Instagram a video of a bear swimming in a lake, which presumably was from a boat that he was on that lake. And Mike, do not get mauled by a bear in the off season, for the love of God.
Steve, do you want to know something insane that I just discovered?
According
to the internet, Russia has how many lakes do you think are in the country Russia?
I would legit guess 1 million.
There's 2.8 million lakes in Russia.
That's
so
huge.
Many lakes. I know it's huge, but that is so many lakes though. That is a lot of lakes.
So how many lakes in comparison does Canada have?
Let's see.
Just calculate that on Mr. Google there. Don't trust the AI though. The AI is bullshit.
No, okay? we don't. The
Google AI.
Canada
it is a liar.
Canada has, according to the Canadian Encyclopedia, Canada has as many as 2 million lakes, which accounts for 14% of the world's lakes. That's pretty wild.
Oh, wow.
And then Russia has over 2.8 million lakes of various origin. 98% of them are lakes with a surface area of less than 1 square kilometer. It's little guys. It's a bunch of little guys there.
Land of lakes right there. Pretty amazing. So yeah, there we go. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're Canadian or if you're Russian. They are going to the lake at the end of the day, right there.
Yeah.
And let me share the screen to show the bear picture off for everybody because I took a screenshot of it. And there we go, right there. That's from Matvei Michkov's Instagram, and that is a swimming bear. And I love that he used the bear emoji for this one. And yeah, just don't get mauled, my guy. Just stay away from those bears. You're our hopes, our dreams, our future. For the love of God, Matvei, do not get consumed by a bear. And that looks like a brown bear, right? The brown bears are ones not to fuck with.
Eurasian brown bear, I would assume, is what that is.
You are our animal expert right there.
I would assume, because it's not a grizzly, because grizzlies are Canada. Let's see. It could be. It's not obviously a polar bear because it's not a polar bear. It could be something. It could be. It could be the Kamchatka brown bear, which basically all of these things are basically grizzly bears, but they're just,
welcome to Bear Analysis with Ryan Quigley.
But they're brown bears, yeah. Brown. Remember, Steve, if it's brown, get down. If it's black, fight back. If it's white, say good night. That's how it goes.
As opposed to the usual saying, if it's brown, flush it down.
Correct.
If it's yellow, let it mellow.
That's exactly.
It all comes back to the butt at the end of the day, right there.
It does, yeah.
But there's a universal lesson. Black bears are the only bears that you can mess with. I still wouldn't. But
I would not, yeah.
They're the ones that, like, at least you can, like, punch in the face and maybe they'll run.
Yeah.
Grizzly bear, you're done. You're dead. You're done.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
it's always crazy to me how fast bears can move, like how they can just swim like this, or they like you're not safe from them if you climb a tree because they're great tree climbers.
They can run like minimum 30 miles an hour. It's crazy. They're faster than Usain Bolt. They're 600
and they're
pounds.
Gigantic. You know, it's like being chased by a linebacker.
Yeah, they're like
like Carter's coming after you.
Right. A mid-sized bear is like 600 pounds. Like some of them can be easily over 1,000 pounds. It's crazy.
That's like when I was watching when the Eagles drafted Jahad Campbell this year, and I was watching his highlights. Like that's what I imagine a bear moves like. It's how Jahad Campbell moves, because like he's so fast and he's just like a gigantic man, and he's just like busting people, like he's just destroying people left and right. And yeah, so Matvei, be safe out there, my guy. Because here's the thing: we're working on reinforcements for him, and the Flyers even went out today. And reportedly, we're going to see if this ends up being true or not, but they reportedly have signed somebody else from the motherland over there, Maxim Shabanov, and I hope I'm saying that right. I'm very tempted to say it in a very Adam Sandler voice, where it's like, Shabanov, but Shabadoo, but Chalamet. But yeah, Maxim Shabanov is apparently coming to the Flyers per reports. Michkov followed him on social media, and he's 24 years old, scored 67 points, 65 games in the KHL, but he is a tiny guy. But if this is true, I don't know that much about him, but it's interesting. That's for sure. This is like a nice little swing by the Flyers to try something different, think outside the bun over there.
He is a tiny little boy. He is only 5'8", and he's
just a little guy.
He only weighs like $150, so he's real small. But
that's like 2 or 3 of me.
Yeah,
I'm 2 or 3 of him, rather, is how it goes.
Yeah, but he can. I mean, the production in the KHL is really exciting. You like to see that. I mean, he's over a point per game player in the KHL. So it's at least, give this guy a look, see what he can do in the NHL. This is certainly not a guarantee that he pans out in the NHL for multiple reasons. One, again, the size is less than ideal. And like, I'm not a huge size guy, but when you only weigh like 150, like you got to.
It matters about how you use it quickly.
Right. It's all about the motion of the ocean, Steve. But like when you're that small, it's not easy to survive in the NHL, but it's also not easy to survive in the KHL either. And he's been, very productive in the KHL. So there's that. And then there's the fact of, listen, we've seen KHL players come to the NHL before and they've been productive in the KHL and then they just suck in the NHL. So that might be what happens here, but I think this is a good, and not necessarily exciting, but it's an, intriguing move by the Flyers to bring this guy in.
Well, it's intriguing when you think about the rumor mill. You also think about just surrounding Michkov with guys he can play with, but specifically to look at the rumor
and talk
mill,
to.
and talk to. That's always nice too. But I think he's gonna be mastering English within a year or two. I can already tell. He's
already gotten a lot better apparently. So
his shit talking's been grade A from day one. So I'm not too concerned about him on that front. And the Flyers take such good care of him because they know he is their guy.
Do you think so? When I was younger, and I don't know if you did this to any of your siblings or cousins or any of that, but like I remember when I was younger, my cousins would come up to me and be like, "Hey Ryan, like, you want to do something really funny?" And I'd be like, "Yeah," and they'd be like, "Go over into where the grown-ups are hanging out and yell this at the top of your lungs," and they would tell me to yell like "fuck" or something like that. And so like then I would get in trouble, but everyone was laughing, so it was like funny. I wonder if that's how the shit talk for Michkov started when he first came to the NHL. I wonder if Travis Konechny was like, "Hey, Matvei, you want to piss that guy off?" He's like, "Yeah." It's like, go over there and just say that he has a tiny penis and then, just see what happens. And I feel like what if that's what it was? What if that's how he got so good at it?
It certainly could be, but I think he also is just learning by example from following Travis Konechny out there because Travis Konechny is known throughout the league as a notorious shit talker at this point. That's why I call him the jerkster, because he is a jerk and he's our little rat and I love him. I love him so much. So Shabanov's an interesting piece. I mean, I'm more intrigued just by how the roster is going to shape up next season because we are rapidly approaching the draft. We're rapidly approaching free agency. There's a lot of intriguing things coming up and the Flyers are involved in a lot of rumors. So we'll start with the fact that Noah Cates just signed a new contract. So 4 years, $4 million AAV. I think I'm into this deal. I really like Noah Cates. I think he is such a versatile piece throughout the roster. You can really use him anywhere in the lineup. So I'm into this. The $4 million might feel like a slight overpay, but if he plays like he did last season, frankly, I am perfectly content with $4 million AAV.
I don't mind the $4 million AAV at all. I honestly think that's a bargain for him because
the way he plays defense, the way he can be used, he can play center, he can play wing. He's so versatile. And
the fact that they got him at $4 million for 4 years, like that's a really, really good deal. And I feel like, especially, and here's another thing, like with the cap going up, that is going to look like a better deal year after year after year after year. The cap isn't going up a little, it's going up a lot. And the fact that they have him at this deal right now for this amount of term is awesome. I'm surprised that they got him to as long a term as they did. I was expecting it to be like a 2-year deal. Great work by Danny Briere. I really, really like this deal. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and say oh, Noah Cates is, some sort of, he's going to be a 50, 60 point player and this and that. Like, that's not what he is. I don't think it is. And like, listen, who knows? Like anything could happen, but like more than likely, like what we've seen from him is what he is. But to lock down a really, 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 really good shutdown third line center at this term and at this AAV, I think is great. So I am over the moon about this contract. I really like it.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm a fan of locking these guys down for as long as possible. Like Forrester, it was like a little bit of a bummer that they didn't work out a long-term deal, but at the same time, like you can't argue with that AAV. I just like guys like Cates that really are just useful players that you can just put anywhere, man. Those Swiss Army knife guys, like you're going to need them because like as you get high-end talent guys, if you look at teams like, I don't know, the Leafs, for instance, like they're so top heavy, they would kill for a guy like Noah Cates in the bottom 6. They overpaid for a guy like that in Scott Laughton, and Scott Lawton's like a shell of his former self. And, it's cool that they're locking him down now at this age. And this takes him, he's 26 now, so this takes him to 30 years old, right?
It should. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is a great little deal for the Flyers. And,
unless they trade him.
Well, I don't think they're going to trade him right after signing him to this.
Not deal. Now. Yeah, not now, but like
it's a very Paul Holmgren thing to do. I mean, trade anybody at 29, I don't care. But we'll see how this ages. But I really liked how he played with Forrester and Brink this season. But you got to wonder with signing a guy like Shabanov and Forrester having deals now and Cates having deals, is Bobby Brink a guy that might potentially be moving this offseason? And I'll be getting that food in a minute. So you can tap dance on this for like 2 minutes while I get that food.
Well, I do hope, I mean, when you look at things big picture, it certainly feels like, you know, a lot of guys are getting contracts, right? So Noah Cates just got a new contract. Tyson Forster just got a new contract. Helge Grans just got a new contract. Bobby Brink isn't due for a new contract yet, so it's not like they're, you know, under the microscope and they have to sign him to a contract right now. But it does make you wonder, like, because they don't have like this long-term investment into Bobby Brink, does that make him expendable? He's got 1 more year in his contract, and then he becomes an arbitration eligible restricted free agent. So I don't know. I think there's a serious listen. If there's one guy to kind of keep an eye on, maybe this offseason, as like to be included as part of a hockey trade, then maybe Bobby Brink would be that guy. And it pains me to say it because I'm a huge Bobby Brink apologist. I'm a big Bobby Brink fan. I think we have not seen the tip of the iceberg for his game. I think he has a long way to go, and he's still young. He's 23 years old. I don't think it would be wise to trade away a 23-year-old, objectively very good 5-on-5 player at this stage. I feel like he brings a lot to the table at 5-on-5. And at the current rate that he's playing at, yeah, it's only 1 more year, but like, what's the harm in keeping him around, seeing what he develops into? Because we saw him take a huge leap last season. What if he takes another big leap this next season? Like, then the Flyers are kicking themselves, and we got a like a Justin Williams situation or something like that, or a Patrick Sharp situation. Like,
right, the ultimate should have kept right there.
Should have kept. I would rather Bobby Brink not be a should have kept. I would rather them just keep Bobby Brink. But again, like, if they are trying to figure out a trade for Marco Rossi, you got to throw Bobby Brink in. You have to, especially because Rossi, Minnesota boy. He's also young. Like, maybe that's what it would take to get Marco Rossi. And yeah, all roads always lead back to Marco Rossi in these trade conversations.
Yeah, I'm almost at the point, I'm not quite there yet, where I just want Rossi to get traded because I'm tired of talking about it. I'm almost there, but I want him to come here is the thing. And I really think you should be able to do that with one of the first round picks. But, we're going to see how that rumor mill continues to evolve, because I know you're seeing a lot of smoke and mirrors from the agents on this one, and Bill Guerin, and Bill Guerin's throwing a lot of shit at that wall, trying to just drive that value up. Be like, well, I don't think he's going to want to sign a pretty expensive contract. You're probably going to have to give us a lot to get him to. I don't know if you want to. There's a gaslighting that goes on with all this stuff right here.
Yeah.
But one of the names that's come up recently that the Flyers might be interested in, and it's a little surprising to hear defensive names tossed out there, but the Vegas Golden Knights' Nic Hague has come up recently. Elliot Friedman dropped him in a radio hit the other day and said that, the Flyers could be a team interested in Nic Hague. And the main thing about Nic Hague is he is a big, big boy right over there.
He is quite large.
6'6". He is a 6'6" man. He is 26 years old, but from what I've heard, this might be a little bit more of an older school kind of guy to maybe be bringing onto your team. If you like plus minus numbers, he's had a couple good years there, but we're not a big fan on this podcast of those. Not much on the offensive side. He's topped out with 17 points in a given season. The last 2 seasons, he's had 12 points. So he's not going to give you much in the point production, and he's not exactly a time on ice monster either. His top in a season was 1840 a night. So I would be hesitant to maybe trade a guy like Brink for a Nic Hague. I'm not against trading for Hague overall, because I do like having a big body in there, but I'm hesitant against giving up a guy like Brink in a deal like that.
Yeah, and listen, if the Flyers are like, dead set on getting a big defenseman, dude, get Keandre Miller. Don't do Nic Hague. Like Keandre Miller's good, and Nic Hague is like fine as like a bottom 4 defenseman. Like he's not going to solve your like anything for the Flyers. So
he's not a top pairing guy to put with Travis Sandlin.
Not at all. Not even close. So I would rather the Flyers go get Keandre Miller, who's like, easily, second pair D-man.
That's an intriguing one. Like
I like Keandre Miller, and he's huge. He's big. He's like 6'6", which I didn't realize he was that big. I knew he was like, well over 6 feet. I didn't realize he was 6'6".
So he's crazy. Also 6'6", but way more athletic.
Yeah, and I think he's just a better player than Nic Hague. So like, if you're gonna make that move, listen, make that move. Get the good player, not the one who's not that great. So
he's listed as 6'5", 210 from what I'm looking at right now.
I've seen 6'5" and 6'6", so I'm just rounding up to 6'6".
Yeah,
but
you have a much bigger offensive upside with Keandre Miller. He's topped out at 49 points in the 23-24 season. I would be very interested in Keandre Miller if he was available, because that's a guy that seems like a top 6 defenseman. That seems like a lot more of a modern NHL kind of move as opposed to Hague, who seems like I always, this is before your time, but I always think about when the Flyers brought in old ass Darian Hatcher and oh my God, who was that guy who played like 5 games for the Flyers and he was huge and nothing else? I'm going to have to look up his name. He was infamous for years and I'm trying to remember it and it's going to drive me nuts until I look it up in a minute. We're going to get there. Thank you, hockey reference here. But oh, what the hell was this guy's name? It is going to drive me insane.
Well, another thing about this, just real quick to compare Keandre Miller to Nic Hague, Keandre Miller is also used to playing pretty big minutes too. Like he's averaged 21 minutes a night for pretty much his whole career.
Mike Rathje, baby, 6'5", 235 pounds. Mike Rathje is one of the slowest sacks of shit I've ever seen in a Flyers uniform. He might be the slowest defenseman I've ever seen.
Even more than Hal Gill?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
But, again, Keandre Miller is used to playing big minutes. Nic Hague, this past season, he averaged 17 minutes a night. I would rather have the guy who, like, if we're going to get a guy with size, get a guy with size who can play big minutes and can play well for the most part. Keandre Miller is not a perfect player, but he's young. He brings the size. He's got the physicality. He's got the athleticism. Get that guy. Don't settle for Nic Hague.
I think that year difference does make a difference too. Like, 25 to 26 doesn't sound like a ton, but I think if you're talking developmentally, I feel like you could still do some stuff like a little bit more like teaching. You're getting to the point where the player is who the player is when you're in the mid-20s, but I feel like you can still a little bit more teaching, a little bit more room there, but that could also just be me justifying this. But yeah, I like the Keandre Miller move a lot more, but that's also a more difficult move because look,
because he's better. He's a better player.
He's a better player, but it's in division too. And I think it's not as much of a factor as it was way back when, but I still think it's a factor. I still think that teams don't want to trade a guy that they're going to have to see a lot every year and is in direct competition for them with a playoff spot. The playoff spots, because they're so intertwined divisionally now, you really do have to think about like in division trades in that regard. But it's a little bit more difficult, but it's certainly not impossible. And you have the assets to make a move like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like, I just feel like this is, I feel like this is the off season where the Flyers are. We always keep talking about the 2026 off season, right? Where that's where they're going to get the cap space. That's where they're going to go, I guess, kind of like star hunting. And maybe this is the off season where instead of going star hunting, this is where like the retool happens, which is, maybe you do make a couple hockey trades this year, and then next year you start making big splashes in free agency. So I don't know, like
game hunting, Quigs. It's big game hunting.
Big game hunting. Well, I was referencing a couple years ago when Daryl Morey was saying, we're going star hunting. And then they went ahead and got James Harden, and look how that turned out.
The less said about Daryl Morey on these parts, the better. Okay.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Daryl Morey around here right now. No, sir. We do not talk about him. But no, I like to think about the current era. I like to think about big game hunting. We should get a big buck hunter logo for the Flyers going somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like that, it's nice to be from a podcaster perspective to have the Flyers back in this level of intrigue. You know, we always have something to talk about. So Hague came up this week. K'Andre Miller's come up as a potential. They're getting this guy Shabadu over here. So that's exciting to see like a potential new name in the mix right there. And he's got some scoring touch, so he'll be intriguing. And free agency is something we have not touched on a ton, mainly because we don't think the Flyers are going to be overly busy there. We think trades is really the avenue where they'll be busy. Because the big thing with the Flyers, too, is like they're developing prospects. They're most likely not going to trade the number 6 overall. And that's more than likely going to be a top 6 forward for this team at some point in the next few years. So a lot of it's about drafting and developing right now. But there is a potential, especially if they want to try and make the playoffs next season, that they could be going down the free agent route. So the Athletic put out a list of, a free agent ranking the other day. And I kind of wanted to go through some of the names on this list and see if anybody would be a potential interesting option for your Philadelphia Hockey Flyers. Now, the first name on this list, we talked Mitch Marner to death 2 weeks ago. We don't need to talk about Mitch Marner anymore. Does not really make a lot of sense for this team. So Mitch Marner, I don't see that happening. That's a big splash if they make it happen. Pretty controversial for the Philadelphia Flyers, though, given his I don't want to say attitude problems with Toronto, but maybe his like mentality issues, because like you always think about Mitch Marner and you think about like, well, is he a gamer enough? Is he competitive enough? Does he have that dog in him? And a lot of people seem to think he does not, in fact, have that dog in him.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I do like Mitch Marner. We've seen like he's a productive player, but I just don't know if it would make sense for the Flyers. Like the amount that he's going to require, like to get paid, would immediately like kind of dig into the pot that the Flyers would need to throw a lot of money at a center, which they need way more than a wing. So for that reason alone, no reason to do that.
I'm already starting to think about it, what we're going to have to pay Michkov in 2 years too.
Right.
So,
yeah, exactly. Like we need to think about that.
8 years, whatever makes sense financially. Like I'm locking that sucker down because he is the best. But the next guy on this list certainly does have that dog in him, but I think he's going to get paid way too much in free agency. And that's Sam Bennett from the Florida Panthers. You know, he's a controversial player. He is a dirty player. He will dish out some big hits and everything, but you can't really deny his playoff stats, right? Like he has really stepped it up when it comes to the playoffs. So Sam Bennett is a guy that I think every NHL team could use, but I do not want to pay him what he's probably going to get in the offseason after the season he's had.
And that's exactly it. Like I like him as a player. I don't want to be the team that pays him the contract that he's about to get. You know what I mean? It would be cool if he was a Flyer, because I think in a lot of ways he is a perfect Flyer, but at that price point, he's going to command so much, Steve. And I just don't know if it would make sense, especially like he's not exactly young anymore. Like he's 28, he's about to turn 29, which isn't like you're still kind of young, but like you're past your prime at that point. I would much rather, and plus I'm sure he's going to want term wherever he goes. I'm sure he's going to want term, and he may stay in Florida. Like that's a real possibility, especially if the Panthers win. Like, why would they, like, you would think that they would try and go out of their way to make sure that he just stays in Florida.
The Leafs are going to get him because they only care about playoff performance now. And look, he's got 18 points in 18 games, 12 goals, 6 assists this postseason. That's outstanding. Yeah. And the guy has that dog in him for sure. But yeah, like he's a guy that I think makes sense for the Flyers, but also does not at all because of what he's going to command. And it's going to be too much. I think he's also going to age poorly. I think once he hits 30, it's going to be like a Mike Richards, Wayne Simmonds situation where because he plays a hard game, that is going to catch up with him in a really bad way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And that's just another reason why I feel like it may not be the best long-term move to throw a boatload of money at him. I would rather, if you're going to get a center, I'd rather get someone else, like maybe, I don't know, John Tavares, perhaps. But even that would be hard.
Well, let's go to talk about Johnny T right there. What I like about John Tavares, and we've talked about him a couple times, but what I like about Tavares is because he's older, you actually don't necessarily have to sign him that long term. You can kind of use the AAV to your advantage for like 2 years until you have to like sign Michkov or somebody. And you can sign Tavares as like a nice like transition center. Now, how much is he going to want to get? He's coming off, what was he making? 11 a year?
Yeah, I believe so. And he had a good season too.
He had a really good season. I think he was one of the team leaders in goals. He was up there. He had 30 plus. So this guy, I mean, he'd be a great fit. I think on the Flyers, I think he'd be a really good top 6 guy, even with the fucking amulet. I reiterate this, do not let him talk to Matvei Michkov about the amulet. No, once. I don't need Matvei Michkov is already having like weird car accidents. Okay. He's having near death lake experiences with bears. I don't need him learning about amulets. Okay. Absolutely not. Not on my watch, but John Tavares, regardless of the amulet talk or whatever, something's working for him because he's still a really effective player at his age. And even though he didn't really necessarily have the playoff success that the Leafs expected from him this year, he got them to the playoffs, right? He was the big part. They were in the playoffs and in a really good spot. And at this point, I would just take a playoff run from the Flyers of any sort, an appearance, because I'm starving over here. I'm starving.
Oh, yeah. No, it'd be amazing. And well, now here's another thing. But in regard to John Tavares, it does kind of feel like he's going to stay in Toronto. Like it seems like a lot of like Leafs blog people and news people are saying, yeah, like they wouldn't be surprised if he came back. And I know Tavares has even said straight up, like, I really want to come back.
It's a hometown team. I mean, he's got that picture in his gym jams from when he was 10 years old or whatever. Like, it would be a surprise if he left, but if he left, I think this is definitely by a mile my most intriguing name for the Flyers to potentially sign, because he could instantly be your 1C. He'll be your 1C, and that makes the team that much stronger, because then you could have Couturier or Cates as your 2C on a given night. Right. And that reduces their workload a ton. I think if you don't get Rossi and Tavares is available, I really like that Tavares fit.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And listen, like when I look at this free agency class, if I'm the Flyers, like you gotta look at the centers, right? Like that's the number one thing you gotta be, you gotta be circling those guys on your list. Tavares obviously is one. And another guy who stands out to me, and this would be like the absolute definition of a kind of temporary top 6 center, but Mikael Granlund, to me, sticks out a lot. I think he's coming off a good season. He was on a horrible Sharks team. And one could argue that, someone had to score the points, right? But he did. And he played well. And he's a 33-year-old guy, so he's not young. But you wouldn't need him to be signed long-term. He's very much, quite literally, the definition of like a transitional center. He scored 66 points this season. Pretty good. In 83 games. So that's a fun little fact because he got traded to Stars. But yeah, like I feel like Mikael Granlund could be a good guy because he's not going to be commanding this insane price tag that like he'll probably be even cheaper than John Tavares is. And
I would imagine he would be. And
I would be stunned. Yeah.
I'm big time into it. Yeah, I really like the Granlund pick. And you're not talking about a guy with size or anything, but like who gives a shit ultimately?
Just get someone who can play center for a couple.
Just get somebody who can play center. I want somebody who can keep pace with Michkov. I want somebody who's going to help Michkov's development. And Tyson Forrester, let's not forget about Tyson Forrester, Bobby Brink. Like we got these good young players, and you got Travis Konechny in his prime right now. Let's take advantage of that. Like I think the team maybe isn't quite there for a playoff team, but like they're closer than you might think. And so much of that is just based on getting center depth and settling the goaltending position. But I think Granlund's a great fit. I'm big time into that. I think him and Tavares are easily like my 1A and 1B on this list of free agents.
I think Granlund's actually my number one. Because the fact that I think he's going to be cheaper than Tavares, I think he'll be less inclined. Like Tavares, even though I'm not expecting him to sign a long-term deal anywhere, I feel like Granlund in particular would be even more open to a short-term deal, just because he's kind of already played on a million different teams. He's played on Minnesota. He's played on Nashville. He's played in San Jose. He's played in Pittsburgh. He's played in Dallas. Like, you might as well, like, he seems like kind of one of those journeyman guys who just is everywhere all the time. So sign Mikael Granlund to a 2-year contract, maybe like, I'm not even going to throw out an AAV because I have no idea. But he would probably not be asking for that much, Steve. 2-year deal as you bring up some of these young centers, and then, you go out next free agency and you get Connor McDavid.
There you go. Perfect. Well, I don't think we're going to get him after he wins the cup this year, but we'll see. Who knows? Maybe he just wants to change the pace.
Pants ain't dead, Steve.
I know. It's been one game and they lost in overtime. So I know the pants ain't dead. But I don't know. I feel good about the Oilers this year, which is a change of pace because I typically do not. Now, one of the names I had on this list that would have been a little interesting, I'm not the hugest fan of this guy, but he does score goals, was Brock Nelson. But Brock Nelson just re-upped in Colorado. So, which is, I think, a good move all around. I mean, Nelson's with a competitor for the next few years as he gets older, and Colorado gets a solid, like, second, third line guy.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good signing for them. He is the oldest looking 33-year-old I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, he's pretty, for sure.
He looks 48 and very unhappy with his marriage and his life, and his kids hate him. But he still finds a way to go for like a 10-mile run every Sunday morning.
We got to share.
I get from him.
We got to screen share on this one because, like, this is when you Google him. This is
the
first thing that comes up.
The one on the top.
I mean, the one on the top looks very much like he wants to just like
off himself.
I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, it looks like he's driving around playing like horse with no name and gets very annoyed when the police officer pulls him over. The bottom one looks like he is. I'll agree with you on the bottom one. The bottom one looks like he is ready to just drive off a ravine.
No, to me, the bottom one looks like he's just angry about something. The top one looks like that's the first time he's smiled in like 6 years.
Oh yeah, but no, the bottom one, he looks like he's dead inside. Like he looks like he's accepted his fate on the New York Islanders and he's dead inside.
See, I think that about the top
look
one.
very different in people.
The bottom one, to me, it looks like he has a bone to pick with somebody. The one on the top, it looks like he is just constantly walking around stale face, just eyes half closed. Done? He's just done, Steve. He's seen it all. He's been through it all. He's over it.
There's a deadness to the eyes behind the bottom one that is really getting me. But hey, regardless, I mean, the guy's a millionaire, and I'm sure he's not doing that bad. But yeah, he does, especially now that he's got the gray hair here. That definitely like ages him significantly.
Yeah, people win the lottery all the time, and they don't do well afterwards. So,
well, I would do great. We talked about our plans though, if we were to win. And
yeah,
I would just honestly, I'd probably be putting out Flyperboles 5 days a week, and they get weirder and weirder.
Dude, it's so funny. Like, I think about this all the time. Like, if I won the lottery, do you know how much of that money I would like funnel into BSH?
Oh my God.
So much money.
BSH
so much money.
I don't even want to talk, but like, I would just, I'd put a lot of money in. I'd open a podcast studio in the Bach
oh my God,
store.
Easily.
Yeah. And I would just have all my friends come over, and I would just turn into, that's okay. This is my pitch. You need that left wing Joe Rogan right here. Just give me the money.
Yeah.
And I'll just get high and talk about weird stuff all day. I'm just kidding about getting high. I don't really want to do that. But I'll just hang out and we can talk about weird stuff, and it'll be entertaining podcasting right there. So let's make it happen. Come on, big left money. Bring it on over to Steve.
I love it.
Now, so Brock Nelson is already off the books here. Next one on the list is a guy that I like, and he comes up like every couple years as a name. He doesn't make sense for the current team, but I like him a lot, and that's Nikolai Ehlers.
I am a huge Nikolai Ehlers guy, but that's the problem, is that there's just not a fit for him right now.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it really doesn't. I wish that this was a possibility like a couple of years ago. Because then it would have been like, get him. I don't care what you got to do. Get Nikolai Ehlers because he rules. But
trade Owen Tippett. Trade Owen Tippett for Marco Rossi. Get Nikolai Ehlers.
That would be fun.
Let's do it.
That would be great. I'd love that.
I just laid it out. Make it happen, Captain. Aaron Ekblad. I'm not interested.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't hate it, but I'm not expecting it at all. So
no, I'm not expecting it either. Okay. Hilarious option. Wouldn't happen, but hilarious option. Brad Marchand.
He's going to Toronto. So
I think he's going back to Boston.
I'm like convinced he's going to Toronto.
All right, we gotta have a friendly wager on this one. I don't know what the deal is on the wager yet, but
free beers at Bach.
I'll buy a round of Bach based on this. So all right,
Yeah.
I think he's going back to Boston. You think he's going to Toronto?
I say he's going to Toronto.
There you go. Brock Besser.
You see, that's another guy who I like a lot, but he doesn't make sense for the Flyers right now. So
couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Especially because Tocchet's here. Like, this would be the time to get him, but I just don't know how it fits the current mold.
Now, my favorite name on the list, Vladislav Gavrikov, which is one that is just funny to say. It's just funny in your mouth.
It is, yeah. Yeah, I don't.
Meh.
Yeah, I don't really.
Meh. Does not move the needle for me.
Yeah.
Now, there's this guy. He used to play a lot of minutes on his old team. Okay. He ate up a lot of minutes every night. He's a defenseman. He was drafted with a pretty high pedigree. In the first couple years in the league, he was rock solid. But then he kind of trailed off. He got traded from his original team. He said some controversial things. Ivan Provorov. It kind of sounds like provolone cheese, but what do you think about this Ivan guy? You think he might be a good fit on the Flyers?
Trash.
Hell no.
Trash.
Don't let the door hit you on the ass, Ivan. Never again.
Trash.
Never again. Ivan Provorov, you're dead to me. Matt Duchene. Matt Duchene is an intriguing one. I think he's had a really good later in career surge in recent years. Honestly, I'm kind of into the Matt Duchene as like a 2-year stopgap guy too.
Well, another thing with him though is like, even though he's older, he's one of those instances where I think he's going to command a pretty big pay raise, because even though he's 34, he's been like kind of a monster in Dallas. And I mean, he's coming off a point per game season. So
he should probably stay. Like, Dallas should keep him, because
I feel like, yeah,
but Dallas just fired their coach today. So who knows what the hell they're going to do? Peter DeBoer fired again. Has he coached every team in the NHL at this point?
This is like his 15th. He's about to join a sixth team. I assume he'll get hired somewhere.
He's a good coach, but then he pulls Jake Ottinger in, the 6th game of the series. So
yeah, honestly, that was bad. But like the comment, like he pulled the torts. He got himself fired. If he hadn't said anything about Ottinger, other than we just I wanted to try and shift the momentum of the game. It didn't work. If he had just said that, he still has a job today.
But he got himself fired from a good job.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. That was
Torts got himself fired from a shit job. Big difference right there.
Yeah.
Great stats for Duchene this past season. 30 goals, 52 assists, literally a point per game, 82 and 82. I also love this, a 52.4 face-off percentage.
Oh, wow.
Big fan of that one.
He's been kind of an ace in the face-off circle for a long time now.
I don't think he's ever been under 50%. I'm looking at his stats. His
back
rookie
in
season.
Back in
rookie
2016,
season, 44%. In 2009-10.
In 2016-17, he was 62.6% in the face-off circle. That's fucking crazy.
I would be a huge fan if the Flyers signed Matt Duchene for 2 years. Granlund, Duchene, Tavares, I'm into any of that if you don't get Rossi. But just get Rossi.
Yeah. I mean, that's the solution. So
just get Rossi. Jake Allen, who actually has turned into a pretty reliable 1A, 1B guy.
I'm in favor of this. I like Jake Allen. Get Jake Allen. Have a tandem of Jake Allen and Sam Marison and just ride it out. Let them be a 1A, 1B thing. Really, if we're being honest, that would be like a 2A, 2B thing because
I think Jake Allen's the starter until we can figure out if.
No, I agree, but like Jake Allen historically is a backup. You know what I mean? Like he shouldn't even be a starter. But like if he is your starter, like it's not the worst thing in the world if he's your starter. Like he can be fine. He's just
new Brian Elliott.
Yeah.
And he played with Brian Elliott, so it's appropriate.
That's right. Yeah.
So if Jake Allen, I like Jake Allen. I like Alex Lyon for that role too. There's a couple of different guys, but like, it's just one of those, like, just go out and get a solid guy to play with Ersson so that this team can actually like be competitive this year, because we can't do what they did last season again. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Next up on the list, Team USA darling from that Olympic run a couple years ago, Ryan Donato.
So Ryan Donato, I have a complicated opinion of him because many moons ago, i.e. 2019, I was covering the Minnesota Wild and I watched a lot of Ryan Donato. He's one of the more frustrating players that I've watched because like some nights he would look so good. And then so many nights, just as many nights, if not more, he was totally invisible. And
sounds like a terrible fit for this fan base.
He reminded me of Morgan Frost in a lot of ways. He really did. Like he would have games where he just goes off point wise, 2 goals, 2 assists, like something crazy. And then he would just disappear. And I feel like he would not do well in Philadelphia. I feel like he should probably he's coming off a 62-point season in Chicago,
which is easily his high point.
Not even close.
His previous was 31.
Yeah.
With the Kraken.
Yeah. So I feel like he should just stay in Chicago because it seems like something somehow has worked there this past season. Maybe he's just got lucky. Maybe it's another situation of like, hey, someone's got to score the points. Might as well be Ryan Donato, him and Connor Bedard. So, I'm really not that high on Ryan Donato. I kind of don't want the Flyers to even consider him. So.
More like do not know.
Because we don't know what he is.
Or more like don't.
Or that.
There you go.
So
next up on this list, and we're almost done, but is it Pius Suter or Pius?
I think it's Pius Suter. Penis
Suter. No, I'm sorry, Pius, if we sign you, but I'm sorry, it was low-hanging fruit, and I had to kick it square in the 2 low-hanging fruits right in front of me. But Pius Suter, weird name, pretty mid, but perfectly cromulent if the Flyers sign him for a short-term deal. I'm not into a long-term with this guy.
And a former Canuck. He played under Rick Tocchet the last year.
There you go.
So that's something to consider. But he would, I mean, if he's like your top line center, that's awful. So
that's awful. Well, I don't think he's beaten Coots out, to be honest. Like, say what you will about Couturier, but the fact that he clicked so well with Michkov and Konechny down the stretch, and he's still your best defensive 2-way guy. Like,
he has to be the 1C going into next season, I would think.
Unless
you sign Granlund. Or Tavares.
Or Duchene.
Yeah.
I'm into Duchene a lot too. I like Duchene. Okay. So there were 2 names on this list that I will not discuss. Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane. Fuck both those guys. Absolutely not a chance in hell. So that brings us to our final name, who we all know, we all love, we all, I occasionally find people who don't love this guy, but it's a weird opinion when it comes up. But our old buddy Claude Giroux, his time in Ottawa may or may not be done. I wouldn't be surprised if he went back to the Senators, but the Senators are also a weird team. We thought they were really going to, they took a little bit of a step this year. They made the playoffs, but didn't do anything. And I don't know how they advance. They've got some great pieces like Brady Tkachuk and Tim Stützle, but I don't know. Is Claude going back there? Is he not? If he was going to come back, I don't think the fit's great, but he can still win faceoffs. And I mean, he's Claude Giroux.
I would love to have him back. I don't think he's coming back.
I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised. It is sad. I think he should finish out his career here, frankly. I think it'd be a lot of fun for him to finish his career here. And I'd love to see him with Michkov because I think those two would click fantastically.
Yeah, it would be great.
But yeah, it doesn't really seem to make sense, but I I think people would sneer. Like half the fan base would sneer if they brought him back. I would welcome him back with open arms.
I would not be mad.
I think he's a very good hockey player, and the fact that he can't play center, but he can win faceoffs. It's really weird, but like, you know, I can work with that.
Especially because of the fact
him and Cates are perfect because he'll take the faceoffs, then Cates plays center.
Right. Especially because of the fact that like he's older now. Like he's not going to be looking for a long-term contract. He wouldn't be expensive. Like I honestly wouldn't hate it. It makes a lot of sense. The Flyers just aren't going to do it though. Like I just don't see how that would happen, you know?
Yeah. And I think it would also, you've already heard complaints, namely from me, about them just doing the same old, bringing in an alumni and Rick Tocchet to coach. Yeah. You'd certainly hear a lot of complaints if their big free agent signing was Claude Giroux, like when they brought in JVR back, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you.
Well, it's going to be an intriguing free agent period when we get there. We're like less than a month out at this point, right?
Yeah.
So
it's coming up.
We got some fun times ahead. So we'll be back next week talking probably some more draft stuff, but maybe the rumor mill will continue to churn. And there's not a lot of Stanley Cup to talk about. There was just the one game we did a whole preview last week. So like, we're going to talk some Stanley Cup next week too. There's not much to talk about this week. So
yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's time to wrap this sucker up because I got some food I got to go eat. So, all right, folks. Well, thanks so much for listening. We truly love and appreciate all of you. If you have any feedback for us, the best place is social media, and the best place for that is Blue Sky. Quigs, where can people find you on the old Sky?
Oh, find me at Ryan Quigs with a Z.
Oh, baby. Ryan Quigs with a Z. You can find me at Flyperbole or at SD Bomb. If it's for hockey purposes, make it Flyperbole. Follow Flyperbole on Instagram and TikTok as well. You can find great clips from the show. And hey, if you're following on YouTube, be sure to give this a good old like right there. We appreciate that. So subscribe, rate, review, all that great stuff, and give it a like if you can. Love you guys. And hey, draft party is happening at Chickies again this year. You have to get a ticket. So go get a ticket. It's over. Details are on our site and over at our friends over at PHLY. So it's a $5. You get food with it. Okay. We all got $5 to go hang out and watch a hockey draft with some of our best hockey friends out there. I'll be there. Quigs will be there. Everybody's going to be there. It's going to be a great time.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Everybody in the Philly area.
Yeah. Every single person that you know who lives in Philadelphia is going to be at our draft party.
Every single person. No, most of the BSH crew should be there. Sadly, our Canadian friends will not be, but if they want to come down, you know, there's couches aplenty, so they can just swing on by. But all right, folks, we're going to head out of here. Thanks so much for listening. And until next time, in the words of the great Gene Hart, good night and good hockey. Wow, 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 wow.